Serving delicious food that brings joy and satisfaction to customers is important to food preparers. It's even more important to know food being served has been handled safely throughout its preparation. Food is guarded against biological, chemical, and physical hazards from the time of delivery to service. The proper use of time and temperature protects foods from biological hazards. There are numerous temperature control methods to protect food from pathogen growth. These include proper cooking, cooling, holding, and reheating. Cooking. Proper cooking prevents, reduces, or eliminates pathogens that can make your customers sick. The only way of knowing your food is safe is by making sure your food has reached the required minimum internal temperature and held for a certain amount of time. This temperature is not the same for all food. Fruits and vegetables, rice, potatoes, and beans being cooked for hot holding should be cooked to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. Eggs must be cooked to at least 145 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. Fish must be cooked to at least 145 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. Beefsteaks, pork, veal, farm-raised elk, deer, and bison must be cooked to at least 145 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. Ground beef and pork must be cooked to at least 155 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. Poultry, stuffing that is made with TCS food, stuffed fish, stuffed meat, stuffed poultry, and stuffed pasta must be cooked to 165 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. Leftover or previously cooked food must be reheated to 165 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. Cooling. Proper cooling of food is very important in controlling pathogen growth and should be monitored from the time you purchase the food to the time you serve it. Once food is cooked, it is either stored in a cooler, served immediately, or held in a hot holding unit. Generally, when we cook at home, we immediately serve all of the food and then refrigerate any leftovers. At a restaurant, large quantities of food are cooked to serve many customers. The temperatures of that food need to be carefully guarded to prevent contamination. The hazard associated with cooling involves the multiplication of bacteria that were not destroyed during cooking. These bacteria can result from inadequate cooking or the activation of spores and the subsequent contamination of the food by bacteria from, for example, repeatedly tasting the food with the same unwashed spoon. Food must be cooled quickly after cooking to ensure it spends the minimum amount of time in the temperature danger zone. All potentially hazardous food must be cooled from 135 degrees Fahrenheit to 70 degrees Fahrenheit within 2 hours, and 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 41 degrees Fahrenheit within 4 hours. Within 6 hours, all potentially hazardous food must be cooled to 41 degrees Fahrenheit. If food is not cooled to 70 degrees Fahrenheit within 2 hours, it must either be reheated to 165 degrees Fahrenheit and cooled again or discarded. Placing hot food in the refrigerator raises the temperature of the refrigerator, thus raising the temperature of other food stored there and causing condensation. There are 4 ways you can rapidly cool food. Use shallow stainless steel pans no deeper than 4 inches. Divide food into small containers. Place food on ice, or use an ice wand to stir your food. Once food is cooled, it can be stored in the refrigerator. The best way to ensure proper cooling is to ensure your procedures are safe and implemented correctly by your staff. You can also use auditing paperwork that documents proper cooling procedures. Holding. Once food is cooked, food operators may opt to display the food for sale on self-service equipment like a buffet table. Cold food must be kept cold at 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot food must be kept above 135 degrees Fahrenheit. If the temperature drops below 135, Food must be reheated in less than 4 hours. As a food operator, you must monitor your hot holding units and set appropriate standards to ensure food is maintained at the right temperature. Preparing food in small batches will help minimize time temperature abuse. Reheating. Once food is cooled and placed in the refrigerator, then it's ready for a customer's order. The food may be removed from the refrigerator and served to customers. To serve this food hot, it must be rapidly reheated to an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit before serving. Do not reheat food on the steam table. The microwave can be used to reheat food. All efforts must be made to ensure all parts of the food reach 165 degrees Fahrenheit by stirring and covering the food, and then allowing it to stand covered for at least 2 minutes after reheating. If the food is to be placed on a hot holding unit, it should be closely monitored to make sure the temperature is above 135 degrees Fahrenheit. If the reheated internal temperature does not reach 165 degrees, it must be discarded. The reheating process has to be closely monitored by checking temperature using a sanitized thermometer. A thermometer is the only reliable way to ensure required minimum temperature needed to destroy harmful pathogens.